It's about to take place where truth resonates in the zone. You can't hide from in the zone.
Good evening. Welcome to In the Zone. I'm your host, Lady V, and my co hosts are
Dwight.
Michael Rooks in the building.
tonight. The show, first of all, we ask you to thumbs up, give us a like, and share. Brother Michael, what is the show about tonight?
Um, the show tonight is going to be about the Black community. Is it a fictitious place like Wakanda, or is it actually a community? And the reason why I asked that question, the reason why I asked that question is because, you have different people in different walks of life, so-called Black people in different walks of life. They always say, you know, with me or with them being in the Black community, and everyone saying the Black community. However, some people may live in the high ritzy hills of whatever region and whatever state, or you have some who may live in what we call the ghettos, and everyone in between in the rural areas and in suburban America, and they all claim to be in the Black community. So I just posed the question: exactly what is the Black community? I pass it over to one of you hosts.
Well, I feel that community is everybody intermingling with each other with things that concerns the community, housing, food, shelter, um, community protection. I think that we have lost the sense of community when we took the elders out of it. Um, we haven't been community in a very, very long time. We stopped caring about each other and the well-beings of those that we live around in within the community. We stopped being concerned about community issues and just be concerned about ourselves. So I think that's where we lost focus. Do you agree, Brother Dwight?
I don't think that so much it's about the elders. Uh, I mean, it depends on how far you go back. Because if we was to say it's about the elders, I mean, we would have to go back 3 generations. You would have to go back exactly 3 generations to really see the disconnect. And because when I say 3 generations, I'm talking about late 50s, early 60s. Uh, because when you got to remember, after the 60s, it was a wrap. It was a wrap. There was no communities. There was no. The government did everything they could to destroy our communities, and our elders, who would be 2 generations in now, I would say 2 or 3 generations in now, who are many of them long gone. They fell victim to, and a lot Yeah, I just think that when we say that the elders not in the community, we got to go back and see that there's been about 2 to 3 generations without elders. Period. So it's one of those things where we can harp on, okay, the elders not being there, the elders dropped the ball, or elders fell victim to those things that were put in place to break us apart, or we can just start looking at ourselves and say, okay, why haven't we picked up the ball? You know, for example, I would literally say that within the 3 generations from the elders that I apologize, my little one is
I
DB.
think that we also lost a sense of community when we let the police come in and tell us what we need to do with our family and ourselves instead of handling it ourselves as a community or as a family. Brother Mike, give me some insight on what's your thoughts on what was said.
Well, well, the reason why I brought the question up because from time to time I check out Star from, I don't know if you guys remember Star from Star and Buck Wild, Troy Terrain. He has a podcast on YouTube, and from time to time I check him out, and he always talk about, and he don't always, but he had brought up a subject one night. This was probably a couple of years ago about the Black community. Is it a community, or is it just Black neighborhoods within a white community? Because in that particular neighborhood, no one actually owns the property.
Mm.
Majority of people are renting. So, or is it just different sections of Black neighborhoods within the white community that owns the property? And I always thought about that. And then what really triggered it was a couple of years ago in 2018 when Black Panther came out, and Black people, they just drove to the movies, you know, under this precinct that I don't know. To me, it was like
It's
false. Oh,
fictitious.
this yeah, it's fictitious. Um, but anyways, my opinion, because they went there with a certain mindset, it took away from the movie being a Marvels fan. You understand? They went there with a certain mindset of whatever the case is, and then they came out, and everybody was, crossing their hands and shouting Wakanda forever, which is not a real place in East Africa.
Right.
It was made up by Stan Lee and Kirby, what's his name, his partner in Marvels, and they really ran with this Wakanda, like it's something, a real place, a real country, a real
Mhm.
location, which is not. Then that made me think about the Black community. Now, is the Black community a real community, or is it something that someone said whenever they said, and whenever they said it back when, and everybody took off with it? The Black community, because if you pay attention, you'll see people, wealthy people, living in a wealthy neighborhood, talk about, hey, being in the Black community, but you're not in the Black community in a sense. You're in the wealthy community, or you're in the
Right.
suburbs. You
Hmm.
understand? Or you're in the inner cities, or things of that nature. What is this Black community? Is it something real, or is it just something that a cliche? You understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely,
Right.
I do. It used to be a sense of community when I was growing up. Since then, those days are gone. I believe that the Black community is gone because when you say Black, that means, okay, yeah, there are some people that still own their homes in the community where it's gentrified. There's no sense of community anymore. It's just not. Like I said, when you say Black community, you're thinking about ownership. You're thinking about owning houses, owning the community stores, um, Black churches, and we all intermingling with each other concerning ourselves and the things that suits the community. That's long gone. I think the false narrative of a community or a Wakanda is long gone because people aren't concerned about what's going on in the community. They just want to get up and go to work and do what they have to do and not be bothered with the things in the community. And when you have that mindset, you have to think about it. If I'm living in a community, why wouldn't I be concerned about what's going on in the community? What happened to the neighborhood associations, the block associations? What happened to that? So no, it hasn't been a community for a long time.
So you just said one thing. You said what happened to the neighborhood associations, what happened to the block associations. But why do we need neighborhood associations and block associations? See that this the question I have on that is because when you go to suburbia, if you will, any
They don't
suburbia,
have
pick a,
those.
they don't have those. So why
Right.
do we need them? I think that the real issue, the real big issue is I like what Mike said. Are we just a black neighborhood for the white community? Because reality of it is we are. Yeah. However, we also still got to understand that we are a people in search of a nation. We don't know who we are. So how can we? So if on a major scale we have no sense of who we are, there's no way on a minor scale we can have any sense of who we are. When we did have that, we didn't work together to make sure as a people we maintain that. When there was a sense of okay, knowledge of self, there was the internal conflict. You had okay, if you was Pan-African, then guess what? Then you was against the Christians. You was Christian, you was against the Muslims. You was Muslims, you was against everybody. There was never a sense of we are. Just period. Just let it, we are. See, we are the only people. You don't hear people. You don't see. We are the only people who have to define ourselves by the color of our skin. You go to Europe, you look like you and I. Guess what? You're European. You come over here, you're black. You're African American. Why? Why can't you just be American? You're here.
So let me get this straight, Brother Dwight. You do know that racism is all over America. And in Europe, they do have a name for people of color. You do realize that as well, right?
Of course. Of course,
Okay.
I mean, I
Realize
understand.
that.
I understand that racism, classism, socialism, any ism exists anywhere in the world, anywhere because it's all a construct. So
Hmm.
I understand, and I understand. I know about it, but I guess what I'm saying is for us to have this false sense of we need a community or we don't have a community. Reality of it is we don't have households. In order to have a community, to build a community, you have to have ownership. We don't have ownership. We don't even have ownership of
That's
our
what I
households.
that's what I was saying.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not really disagreeing with you. There's a lot that I agree with you with. I'm
Uh-huh.
just, I just feel as though, we're looking at things not, we're looking at things on such a grand level that we don't break it down to the most minuscule point. To
Okay.
the most minuscule level where we look at it and say, okay, oh, this is how it affects directly right here and there. We can literally say, okay, uh, I mean, when you just do an analysis of why our quote unquote communities look the way they look or they are the way they are versus the suburbs, you know, know why we're over policed? Because we take away from our own community. Not that we steal and rob our communities. We're over policed because we allow others to police us. So we take it away we give away our rights. You get what I'm saying? I remember back in the day, my grandma used to talk about how the policemen used to walk up and down the block and they knew everybody, knew the grandkids, everybody else.
Right.
But nobody don't do that no more because guess what? In our neighborhoods or in our communities, as you will, or in our cities or in the inner cities, what it is these are the high paid jobs, and the policemen that's supposed to be from the neighborhood, they get the job and then they move down to the shore to the suburbs because guess what? They rather be here to do the job and not live here and have their family amongst them.
Right.
So therefore, it starts with us redirecting who's in our community as a whole. I can't tell you how many cops I know live upstate New York, but they work for no police department. Live down in South Jersey and Bayshore, but they work for no police. Why? And then you ask them, well, why don't you live in Newark? I don't want my family around that mess. But you want
Well,
to
you
work
know
here.
what?
You
Then
want
they
to work here and
shouldn't
get our
work here.
tax
They shouldn't
dollars.
be allowed to work here if they have a different
But
address.
see, well, half the politicians don't live in Newark. They just got an
That's
address.
true.
I can break them all down. I know
That's
where they live.
very true.
I've been to some of their houses and some of their cookouts, so I understand. They got the houses all in the outskirts and everything else, and they keep an apartment. so they can have no address, so they can keep their.
Mm-hmm.
I know.
Mm-hmm.
So reality of it is, we need to check who we're putting in, who we're allowing to have control of our communities.
I absolutely agree. Brother Mike.
I don't think this is the point that I was pushing. Understand understand exactly what you guys are saying. Um, Earlier, Dwight had made a point about how it was it the community got dismantled probably in the 60s into the 70s, and I'm going to piggyback on that point.
Okay.
However, I don't think none of this is the point that I'm driving, but I want to piggyback on the 60s and the 70s of the community itself being dismantled, um, the black the black franchise being dismantled, and it happened during integration. Um, we in integration, our I don't know if we would say our parents, but our grandparents definitely had the opportunity to, with the law on their side, to go to places where they were restricted, and because of it, they, in my opinion, they neglected what they already had and already had power. What they were already empowered to was our own thing, and over time, those stores that were, as we call, black owned, the banks that were black owned, we were banking with ourselves, we were doing business with ourselves. The dollar, back in the 60s and 50s and 40s, that was circulating because of segregation, which is a great thing. I think segregation was a great thing. I think we was losing. I think when we want to be linked to people or a group who don't want to be bothered with us, and we fought to be linked with them, that's insanity. And we're still fighting to be linked with people. I ain't gonna say they don't want to, but however, focus on us. That's all I'm saying. On that note, I don't want to be around no one who don't. I don't like being around people, period. And especially, I don't like being around people who don't want to be bothered with me. So that's insanity, And I'm at a point in my time. I'm on the other side of 50, and I'm at the point in my life right now. I don't give a rat's tail about the first black anything in this freaking country. You understand? Because I'm tired of people being, breaking through and being in somebody else's group, and we have our own group that we should be focused on and growing and
Absolutely.
building and you understand what I'm saying? I'm
I
sick
do.
of it. If I hear another first black, I'm going to purchase a gun legally or illegally and just shoot it up in the air. I ain't gonna shoot nobody. I'm sick of it. But back to the original point, I think this is not the direction we're going in, but let's go in this direction about what you guys were saying about the black community. But segregation, integration, I believe, in my opinion, destroyed what we had with ourselves and our empowerment that we had within ourselves. But
I
continue.
agree. I agree. Uh, you know what? I didn't think we were going to go there, but I'm glad we went there. Thank you. Uh, Integration is the bane of the black community. Period. See, the one thing, when you say I want to be a part of something, or we must be a part of something, what you do is you ultimately give up your control to that which you're trying to be a part of. You give up who you are to that which you are attempting to be a part of. And I think that's what a lot of our so-called leaders didn't understand. We wanted to
Right.
be accepted so bad that we were willing
That
to
we
just
give up
throw
our
away.
power.
Exactly. Because honestly, this is not no, honestly, we are the only people that got forced into integration. Think about it.
Yep.
The Chinese have their own. Even the Hispanics come over and they say, hey, we got our own.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? The Italians say, no, we got our own. The Jews say, hold up, we got our own. They taking over Tita
We
Bird
the
and everything
only
else.
ones.
We the only ones saying, please accept me. Please let me in the club. But whose club are you? Whose club are you being asked to be part of? Because guess what? They ain't in that club. You know, so we're busy chasing. We're busy chasing the cheese while they're pulling it on the string, and they laughing at us. Why? You know, oh, it's because we want we. So what happened to the community? Yeah, the elders let us down. They try to force this whole let's integrate thing. Yeah, the elders let us down, but now the problem is we're fighting generations of that because not only do the elders let us down with this integration thing, what happens is they say, okay, now that we got the elders of the way, now let's push the crack rock. Let's send the men off to Vietnam, you know, and get them all hooked on the opioids and get them come back.
Right.
Let's destroy everything, you know, let's take the trades out the schools. You know, it's so systematic. So when we say we as our community, we're 2 to 3 generations behind on understanding what the community should be anyway.
So let me ask you, Brother Dwight, are you saying that community is asystematic?
Of course.
Okay.
Of course. See, in order to survive in capitalism, you have to be a capitalist. You can't be a socialist. It makes no sense. We live in a capitalistic society. We're so busy walking around with our hands out. Oh, can we get? And they're laughing at us. Because
Yes.
as long as we're begging, they sit and they're looking at us like, oh, they still understand. They're slaves to capitalism.
Brother Mike, why do we have to
Yes.
beg for anything when we have the means, the know-how to build up our own so we can have our own so we don't have to go to anybody for anything? Can you answer that?
Well, just to piggyback on what Brother Dwight just said, we have, I ain't gonna say we, because I hate to lump everyone up because we are so diverse as a people,
Okay.
as individuals, and if you could remember growing up in your household with your siblings, you and your siblings didn't have the same mindset on a lot of things. You know, you all were individuals within the same household. So now you take it outside into the neighborhood or into the village. You're going to have people who are in the same village, just like in the same household, just going to have different mindsets or whatever case. And we're people. We are people, and I'm not just talking about brown or black people. I'm just talking about people in general that we're from this nation. However, we have different ideas, different viewpoints, different things we like, different directions we want to go in, and things of that nature. And to answer your question, the black community in quotation marks, or the black people in quotation marks, bless my heart, on the most part are programmed to be like this, have this socialist mindset, to piggyback on what Dwight was talking about, and living in this capitalistic society. So the thing is that yes, it is some social things that need to be addressed. In my Kanye voice, it's a choice of why we live the way we live, okay? A lot of people kind of shot at Kanye when he said it was a choice. In a sense, it was and it still is a choice. We could choose not to, but now are you going to make that sacrifice? You understand what I'm saying? So he wasn't really articulate to go into detail about what he meant as a choice, but it's a choice. Now, are you willing to make that sacrifice? You understand? So when the brother Dwight talked about, you know, they brought the heroin into the communities, or the crack into the communities, and this, that, and the third, it was a choice for people in the communities to profit off of it. It was a choice. I mean, because I'm not going to say about people who use the drugs because of circumstances or whatever. You know, you want to escape from. You may want to escape from real reality, because reality is just so out of control, it's so crazy or whatever, yeah, you may use these substances, but it was a choice for some of us to profit off of that.
Oh,
And a lot
absolutely.
of yeah,
Absolutely.
so we can't sit up here and say, oh, they brought the drugs into the country and brought it to the black community.
Because some of our
However, it
people
was the
sold it.
so-called
I
blacks.
can talk from
It was the
experience.
so-called blacks who profited, who were the the culture vultures who profited off of that misery. You understand? You know, and then you go back, and I want to talk about. I'm going to go off the rails real quick and talk about the Congo. King Leopold III. He was the king of
Ooh.
Belgium. Now listen to this, and we're gonna leave this. We're gonna go back to. He was the king of Belgium. He never stepped foot, not just in the continent of Africa, never stepped foot in the Congo. Okay.
Period.
However, however, what he did was so-called black people, the Moors. He paid the Moors to police the Congo people. Okay, and this guy, he's real tight on money. So to save on bullets, when it was time to execute some Congo people, they lined them up and shot one bullet in a first person head and killed that many people as far back as that bullet would go. You understand? So they saved bullets on killing. You understand what I'm saying? But it was the so-called blacks doing it to the blacks, you know, for profit. So
Like
when
it
you come
is
back into
now.
the United States, you come back into the United States of America, and if after I say this, if every black person who participated in a drug game in the so-called black community in the black village, if you don't drop down to your knees and atone and beg the Most High for forgiveness for what
That's
you've
right.
done, you've
That's
you
right.
you you brought this so-called black to you were part you played part in bringing demise to this black community and making it what it is today. It was you. It wasn't no white man. Yeah, the white man
Facts.
probably brought it in the country, but it was you who distributed and profited off of it. Shame on you. Kneel on your
Now,
knees and atone.
but
Okay,
hold
so
on,
let me ask you
hold on.
this.
I,
There
yeah,
were
go ahead.
many people that sold drugs. As you
Mm-hmm.
know, my you know,
Mm-hmm.
Hey,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
we
you
ain't
know,
going there. We ain't going
you
there.
Look,
Those
know.
people.
and you know I
However,
know.
We ain't snitching. We
however,
ain't snitching.
you know, and we know those, you know, some of our family members sold it, you know, but right now, let me take it this way. We can live in a community and have different ideas of what it should be.
Mm-hmm.
However, if we have a common goal to make things better in our minds, and when I'm saying in our minds, those who sold the drugs and gave the community, some of the community jobs as being runners, and you do this and you run this and you do that. Yes, they have contributed on a large scale, but it's the ripple effects that we suffer from right now that we can't get past that. A lot of us who had the family members who was the drug runners, the drug dealers, the this, the that, and that. How do you not make them accountable because they're going through hell right now if they didn't repent? But how do you say, okay, yes, I've made these mistakes. Now, how do I come back to that same community that's no longer there, but some of the people still do live there, scattered a little bit? How do we make the community better by changing the attitudes? Right?
See, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So
Change the mindset. That's what I mean.
I mean, listen, see, I agree, but I disagree with the direction that you and Mike are taking it. You know, I agree with the fact that yes, those who were selling the drugs, sharecropping and putting people to work and distributing the drugs, yes, I agree they played a part.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, they played a part. But let's not get so caught up into how it got to that part. You know what I'm saying? Crime has always been around. You know what I'm saying?
You okay?
He froze.
He
Crime has
froze.
always been around. He left off at crime has always been around.
Crime has always been in the hood. You know, the Italians and everybody played it, you know, but we've taken on, because
Okay, I
remember,
see you.
we weren't the ones that was doing it. Go ahead, Brother Dwight. I'm sorry.
Okay,
You froze at crime has always been around.
right. Crime has always been around, and we think. Let's put it this way. Let's go further than the '60s. Let's go further back. Look at alcohol. You know, you had the liquor runners. You get what I'm saying?
Prohibition.
Prohibition. So you can't get mad at the black man or black person, period, if you will, for taking part of the capitalism that they had to live within. What you can say is, okay, yes, it played a role in how it deteriorated, that ripple effect, like you said, Veranda, that ripple effect rippled through the generations, and it caused so much degradation, if you will. But reality of it is if the black man didn't do it, guess who was going to do it?
Oh, okay.
Wait. Who?
Huh?
That's
The
a
white
fact.
man.
I'm
The white
curious
man.
about it.
Fact.
The
How?
white man, the yellow
How?
man. Know why?
How?
Because we live in capitalism, and the reality of it is this country is made on somebody has to pay for this country to exist. And guess what? As much as we want to talk about the drugs, guess what? The guy at the top of the food chain of the drugs, guess what? He's getting paid. See,
Big time.
we the,
Big
the black
time.
people, at the bottom, we're the sharecroppers. This is not modern day slavery, no matter how you look at it. We're sharecropping. Those drug dealers, they were sharecropping. They get the share of the crops. They ain't even they getting the branch off the bush. How about that? Reality of it
So
is,
wait.
but who controls the farm where the bush is at? You get what I'm saying? So it's
Ooh.
who controls the farm? And if you don't control the farm, you can't get mad. You can't get mad at the sharecropper for working on the farm when they don't own the farm. You got
To
to eat.
make
You
a
got to
better life
survive.
for his family.
Did you go? You can't get mad at the
Very
sharecropper
interesting.
when
I
you don't
like the way
when
this
you
is
don't own the
going,
Wait,
brother.
farm.
wait. Distributing the drugs into the so-called black village. If the black men didn't do it, you said who would have
They
done
would
it?
have
They
they
would have
would have
found
came in
somebody to
and
do
did
it.
it.
Distributed.
Hold on, you know,
They would have came in and
somebody
did
to
it.
do it. Nobody found somebody to do it because guess what? It is a revenue stream. We live in capitalism. Perfect example. I'll segue to this. Think about it this way. Our community come from slavery, eating hog mugs, chickens, everything else. Guess what? They had to. Know why? Because guess what? That's what they worked and that's what they earned. They earned that. See, so you can't get mad at them for saying,
Who?
okay, huh? They earned those eats.
Who?
But who? Who do you think? I mean, I don't eat that crap, but
No. Who would have distributed the drugs into the? Who would have been the ones distributing the drugs in the black community? I didn't
it would
catch
have been.
that part. You
Oh
went
yeah,
so
yeah.
fast.
No, it would have been them, the ones who run the
Them
farm,
who? Who are them?
huh? The ones who run the farm, who
Who are
bring it in
them?
there, the white man. Now, guess you know what they would have
So
did
he
it
would have
by.
been.
Hold on, they would have did it by proxy
Go
with
ahead.
somebody else. You get what I'm saying?
Well,
This
listen,
is the system.
there was WAPs
Yeah,
selling in our neighborhood in the beginning.
exactly.
Hold.
And we looked around and said, what? What we looked around? We looked at it and said, hold on.
Let's not use derogatory terms, okay? We don't say the N word, and we ain't saying no other derogatory term,
So
okay?
check it
Well,
out.
the Italians sold in our neighborhoods.
The Italians, the Jews,
The Jews,
They
the Latinos,
the
Latinos.
Irish.
the Japanese, the Chinese. Come
Listen,
on now,
So-
act like you know.
Listen, if I'm the CEO, I need to find workers. I don't care what color you are, because my end goal is you make me this profit. I'll break you off a crumb, but I need my loaf. And
Right.
guess what? So even if it wasn't our people doing it to ourselves, guess what? He's gonna find somebody to do it. Because guess what? The end goal is to make that profit. We live in capitalism. Let's not get it confused. No matter how much emotional we want to be about how much it's to our community, but they don't give a damn about that. They said, hold on. We bringing these poppy seeds. We're gonna show you how to make the coke. We're gonna show you how to make the dope. We're gonna show you how to take the heroin. We're gonna listen. Go ahead. You want this key?
And Raymond Dwight, you forgetting something. What about our servicemen, brothers and sisters?
Oh yeah.
Who was
Go
over
and
there?
fight this, and they shoot you up before you leave.
That's right.
To get you to give you a taste. To give you a taste, and when you come back,
get you
guess
hooked.
what? You're dependent upon it. And now when you come back, either you're using it still or you're selling it still because you know the feeling. You want to give somebody else the feeling that you got when you come on. Let's go there.
Good stuff.
They say, how'd you make it through the war? I was high. You want to feel
let me say before Veranda close out. I know we got a few more minutes or whatever cases, but let me say that Veranda, last week you were truly missed, and I hope that Brother Dwight and I did our
Let me
best
tell you,
to hold it down for you.
You guys held it the freak down, okay? The conversation was good. It was flowed. Y'all made me proud. And I knew y'all could do it, you know? But thank you guys so much. And I should have said that in the beginning, you know.
We were honored. We were honored to take command of your ship. And we appreciate it.
Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it.
Down for you.
Seriously.
You know, this. You know what? This turned out to be good, though.
And the producer, Jamal, he didn't let me finish my Gladys Knight and Pips song because I had called you Gladys Knight and I said that we were the Pips and I started singing and he cut me off.
Man.
Stuff, man.
But nah, yeah.
Yo, this is awesome. This is awesome.
Yeah, we really need to. I honestly say we can't be so minuscule in our thinking. You know, we have to look at this whole. If the United States is a corporation, then guess what? And we feel as though we're the most marginalized, if you will. If we're the most marginalized, then guess what? We looking small. We looking at the picture at the small scale.
Whoa.
We're looking at the picture all wrong. We trying to look from the inside out instead of saying, hey, let me see what it's like the outside look in. Right. We trying to figure out why we in the position we in instead of figuring out how do we get out the position. Not how do we walk out the position, but how do we understand how we got to the position.
So how do you say
how we create our own position?
Or how we stop being dependent upon, or how we stop worrying about how we got in the position.
But how about first we become independent thinkers, right? Mm-hmm. Independent thinkers and have a vision of the same goal. How about that?
Hold up. No. I got even
having
better.
Our own.
Having our own.
Doing
gaining our own. Running our own. And boss the heck up.
Doing our own thing. Doing our own thing. Because here's the fact. When we, I'm gonna say we, because I'm gonna lump myself up with all of us.
You don't have to.
When we do that thing is so fly, so dope, so fresh, all that everybody want to do our thing with us, you know. And we gotta have that mindset. We gotta have that. I watched the greatest. Okay, he's my number one, Michael Jordan. I watched Michael Jordan Hall of Fame, Basketball Hall of Fame speech. You got to watch that. Go to YouTube and put that in. You talk about arrogance.
When his teammates talked about him.
Let me tell you something. You listen to that. You watch that speech with Michael Jordan. We have to have that arrogance times 1,000. Okay. And know that we're not going to want to be the first Black. No, we're going to be us, and we're going to do our thing. We're going to have that arrogance that Michael Jordan had when he made that Basketball Hall of Fame speech at 1,000, because it's going to be our thing that's going to run and rule the world. And we got to have that mindset. So forget about all that first Black this and first Black.
How about this?
I got you. That is
I got you. And what you're saying is valid.
Because it's about us. It's about us. Okay,
right.
For us, by us. What's up with football, by the way?
Hold on. I got you. Hold on. What about this? Check this out. Would you think
What
you was
happened to
marginalizing? Y'all ready for this? Here you go.
Uh,
Would you think you was marginalized if nobody told you was marginalized?
Wow.
Would you think you was marginalized? See,
Wow.
the problem is we raise our kids, we teach our kids that we are oppressed. We teach them this. We feed it to them. We show
Yep.
it to them. And guess what? Every other community,
That was very
they,
powerful, Dwight, by the way.
you know, how you know you're in a box
yeah.
if nobody told you was in a box?
Very
You
powerful.
don't.
But you
Bam.
know what?
There you go.
If we stop thinking like we're in a box and change our
That's
mindset,
Bam.
then
Bam.
there
we
you
can
Bam.
be
go.
And
greater
by the
than what
way,
we
I quit
are.
Facebook.
You quit Facebook?
Say that again, Mike.
Yeah, I quit Facebook.
Michael?
So no more Facebook posts by me. I said no more Facebook posts by me. So y'all go to Mike Ross 25 Facebook page and you go and read all my Facebook posts and hopefully it inspire you because I ain't posting no more on Facebook. By the way.
Well, I didn't get that from your post, okay? But I'm just saying, guys, this was a great conversation.
Yes, it
We ran
was.
out of time, but we thank you for yours. And thank you for tuning in to You Are in the Zone. We ask you to thumbs up, like, and share. I'm Lady V, and my
Brother
co-host
Dwight.
are.
Brother Dwight.
Mike Rooks in the building.
And
Yeah,
tune in
man.
again next week. We'll have a very interesting comment show. Thank you, guys.
All right. Say peace. Bye-bye. Say bye-bye. Say bye-bye.
It's time
Good
to
night.
awake. There'll be no escape.
Hey, bye.
You can't hide what's about to take place. Where truth resonates in the zone. You can't hide from me.